Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT. These major roster developments last night, especially what 100 Thieves are cooking up going into the upcoming season. Reports have it that Bang may well be back on the 100 Thieves team with a serious former iteration, running it back yet again. The big rumours though around 100 Thieves do not currently involve exactly what's happening with Asuna and Cryo. Will they be locked in as well over the coming days? Lots of stuff happening elsewhere as well. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Wanted to start here because it was doing the rounds yesterday. So this is Ethan against Fnatic at the World Championship. I'm pretty sure it was Fnatic that put this out on their social medias, and they show that Ethan looks over at Alpha to see, he just looks like under Alpha's monitor to see, is he moving his mouse or is he not? And this is like absolute veteran level stuff. Now in CS, this has been a thing for years when it comes to flashbangs. So if you throw a flashbang, you can have a look over the monitor and see if any of the guys on the other side of the stage go, you know, if their screen goes white, you'll see it in their face. So you can see who you flashed and where, right? So if you throw a flashbang down Banana or Inferno and you see someone's screen light up white, then probably they were playing Banana, which is information you can give to the team. This, though, is kind of taking things next level, and this is, like, there's nothing you're ever going to do about this, right? If you want to stop this, then okay, you can put some sort of barrier between the teams, they can't see one another, but I think that takes away from the experience, and it's stuff like this that shows veteran experience, playing on LAN, and I think it's great. I mean, in the same way that you can play the crowd for a defuse in moments. I mean, it's just part of the game. So he notices that Alpha isn't moving his mouse, which probably means the guy is defusing, swings the corner, gets the kill. It's, yeah, pretty legendary stuff. Couple of tournaments coming up that are worthy of note. This is one, there's a tournament in China coming up soon with a number of teams attending, but notably JDG, EDG, and also AQ, right? So AQ, I think, is the team that Simon was on. So it might be interesting to see Edward versus Simon if they do play at that event. There's also the SEN Classic coming up. This is the trophy. I mean, and that's absolute beauty, I'm not gonna lie. This is so much better than many of the regional trophies have been, I think, for VALORANT over the last couple of years. That's the SEN Classic trophy. 4 teams, they're about to play in the next couple of days. They actually sat down with their full new Sentinel squad. Well, okay, nearly the full new Sentinel squad. There's Tarek here, there was no narrate. We'll discuss why here in just a second. Pretty funny because Caillou sits down and they were like, damn, Caillou's got ears. The reference here is to this. There was this picture that Valorant's esports updates put out the other day, Sentinel's Caillou. I don't really know what happened here, but they cropped off his ears. So anyway, there you go. There is your new Sentinel for the upcoming season. And they were like, okay, where's the narrate? There were some questions, but he was flying back in yesterday, so presumably all is well in the Sentinels camp. Is the team going to be any good? That's a different question. These are the dates and times, by the way, Pacific time here, so translate as you will, but on Thursday, as in tomorrow, 1 PM, Envy versus Cloud9, then Envy play Qubit, then Qubit play SEN later in the day, and on the Friday, these are the games, and then based on those games, Saturday games, etc., and then a champion will eventually be crowned. So there you go, those are the 4 teams in attendance. That is the plan over the next couple of days. Some other roster things that are worth mentioning. This is one of them on Rienz. So we know that around the world this can affect many players, for example Jing in Singapore, players that have mandatory military service. And well, Heretics are expected to play in the 10 Global Invitational coming up soon, but Rienz will not be able to play in it because of mandatory military service. Now, you know, people looked into this a little bit. It seems like the standards would be about 6 months, but if you pay whatever, then you don't have to do that much. So he might be away from a month, he might be away for a couple of months. More than likely he'll be okay to start the new season with Heretics again. Of course, people are wondering what are Heretics going to do, right? What roster are they going to put together for this upcoming tournament? Lembo was talking about it as well. They'll need a stand-in there for this event. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a major issue for next season, but look, could Mixwell make the glorious return? I guess time will tell. Honestly, wouldn't be a bad idea. Another very interesting update is around Frost. So Frost was undoubtedly one of the characters of last season. The drama when he was on Talon with Termi of DRX was absolutely legendary, and Frost eventually, you know, the Talon situation moved on. They decided to go a different route. But, well, he's not moved on from the Pacific. And I thought Frost might come back to the Americas. There was even some talk, could he come back to 100 Thieves? Would that be a good idea for anyone? But seemingly no. And seemingly it's going to be global esports. Now, this is a really cool development. I think it's actually fantastic that Frost and Turby and DRX, everything are still in the same region. I think it's going to be a really exciting one. But I also think I really like what Global Esports are cooking. They've actually cooked up a bit of a project. I rate Frost pretty highly. Look, he's controversial enough, sure. But to a certain extent, his results do kind of speak for themselves. There was talk that they also considered Autumn as a head coach for them. And they're also looking at a different Autumn as a player for them the upcoming season. So, yeah, we'll see what they do with the rest of their roster. But I think the Global Esports, they could definitely have a team with some upside next season. Speaking of some of the coaching situations, Loud, it looks like, have also pretty much completed their situation. There was a bit of drama over Shy, actually lots of drama over the last few days, but apparently he wasn't very willing to go to Loud. There was this report that said Shy said no effectively to Loud, so they've now looked at different options. They're looking at some of the Ixolos Laser players who were also considered to be Ascension, not favourites maybe, but close to last season. That never happened in the end, so now they've looked at Darker instead. So that looks to be what they're going to do. So Verti, Erde, Cowansan, Pancada, Luxo and Darker as a 6-man team, couple of coaches as well. Do we like that from Loud? You know, it's definitely interesting. I think that we'll see. Time will tell if that team is any good. But at least they're taking a little bit of risk, I suppose. At the end of the day, these teams are all under the cosh to a certain extent, because who knows if next year these partnership agreements even get renewed. That, I think, is what is especially fascinating about teams like SEN, teams like Cloud9, locking down their players for 3-year contracts. And look, Sentinels are not going to expect to have any issues getting extended. Maybe nor should Cloud9. But if you've got your players on a 3-year deal, then, you know, you're going to have to pay them something if that doesn't happen. And with the partnership agreements up for renewal, maybe it's not exactly a guarantee. Anyway, Fnatic confirm Crashies is back, right? So congratulations. This was actually a big question whether this would happen, but we knew for some time that this was going to be locked in. Crashies is back, re-signed until 2026 at least, so it's an additional season extension, not something dramatic. They've not locked him down for a decade, as some of the other teams would seemingly like to do if they could. But we know that Chronicle has gone to Vitality. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. The other big roster update of the day, though, is around 100 Thieves. What are they cooking up for the new season? Because we saw yesterday, TSM are gone. They're out of here. They've had enough of Valorant. Can't really blame them. They've been down in Tier 2. They've tried their best. It didn't work out this year. They lost to Envy, so they didn't get the spot, and they're going to call it a day. Now, some of those players we think are ending up on 100 Thieves, but actually, interestingly enough, pretty much their entire franchise has at some point played for TSM at some point. So reports have it that Bang is on his way back. So he was obviously on 100 T for some time. He was very good at 100 Thieves, I thought, in general. Went to Sentinels. He was okay at Sentinels, but I always felt like the dynamic there didn't seem optimal, really. And at the end of the season, they've parted ways. I don't even really think it was much of a consideration, because if we look at some of the scrimbucks from Sentinels that we saw, I'm not sure I saw a single one with Bang in it, really. So I think they were pretty confident from day one that parting with Bang was what they wanted to do. They did so shortly afterwards. Now it looks like he's going to be back on 100 Thieves. So to some degree, they're bringing the old gang back together. Now, is this going to work? I mean, it's a very good question, because we have seen a lot of these combinations before, if this is how they follow through with the rest of their roster. I still think Bang has more to give. I think 100 Thieves are probably doing the right thing here. Look, they only got Xander because they lost Bang to Sentinels, so now they can get Bang back. It probably just makes sense for both parties to do what they've done. But interestingly enough, the other individuals that we think are joining from TSM, they're also over to 100 Thieves, we think. Bang spent a little bit of time there as well. So if you're a TSM fan, effectively you might have to become a 100 Thieves fan for the upcoming season, because Vora, Timotino and NBS, their coach, all rumoured to be joining 100 Thieves for the upcoming season. So this is apparently the roster. We've got Timotino, we've got Vora, both from that TSM roster. So those are your two promising Tier 2 players getting ascended anyway, even if they didn't win. Bang there as the third, with NBS as the coach. And then what are they going to do to close out the team, right? So it looks like Asuna and Cryo are being trialed to finalise the roster. There were rumours that Sean Gares has made a bit of a return as effectively the head of Valorant over there, but not as their head coach exactly. That will be the man from TSM we think that we have just seen. So Asuna and Cryo will likely, you would think, round out this roster. It would seem strange to bring in Bang, Vora, Timotino, of course, players that didn't play for 100 Thieves last season, bring them in, but yet not bring back two of your more promising players internally. Getting rid of Cryo, I think, would be not an especially wise idea. In this scenario, of course, with Timotino and everything, Cryo would be on the Sentinel probably, but that could quite possibly work. I don't know, throw him back on the Chamber. Wouldn't be opposed to that. Asuna then flexing it up. I think the question still continues on Asuna. I know that Akamaru gave some thoughts about this as well. That says everyone that actually plays professionally that I've talked to about him or I've seen on interview shows a lot of respect, believe he's a great player. Look, the stats say one thing, the results, of course, also say the same thing. I mean, maybe not the same thing, but the conclusion with Asuna is like, look, yes, people rate him highly for understandable reasons, but that relationship with 100 Thieves just hasn't been working, right? So, you know, do you just run it back again? And apparently the answer is yes, you do indeed run it back again. We don't know for sure, right? Because, as I say, the key rumour is that you've got the TSM boys and now Bang, it's going to happen. With Asuna and Cryo, it's maybe not a guarantee. Akamaru does say, though, like, you know, I'm not sure why people are saying that Asuna and Cryo isn't confirmed. They will be playing for 100 Thieves. So he's pretty convinced their roster is set, their roster is done. It's the TSM boys of Vora, Timotino, with Bang, Asuna, and Cryo rounding out the team. What do we think of that roster? Is it a step up or a step down on what they've done over the last couple of seasons? Is it different enough to really spark them over the line into some serious success? That's also a good question. Just one other final thing. G2 was spotted playing some scrims. Again, no Jonah P here, so, you know, Jorgamo, Leaf, Trent, Valen, etc. Not sure who their fifth is still, who they've been trialing with over the last couple of days, but SR were playing with Kess and with Net. Of course, Kess spent a bit of time on 100T last season, so very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.